As you saw in the video, I was in charge of the committee that was reviewing the two areas of the Tactical Field Force Team and civil disturbances, which encompassed 17 recommendations from PERF. Several of mine were overlapping through the different topics, so they've been grouped together, and I'm going to go over them and give you kind of an overview of related topics and how they're being handled by the committee. So starting off with number 12 and 19, which are related, it was ensuring that all responding personnel have protective equipment before deploying CS gas. I will tell you that this was completed in June of 2020 when this became aware to us that this was an issue, and we outfitted all officers with protective equipment. So that has been completed. Number 13 and 66, the PERF recommendation is ensure that all demonstrators can hear any dispersal orders and give them time to respond before enforcing the dispersal order. There's several things on this, the recommendation that the committee has discussed. First and foremost is going to be an update to the policy recommendation that it's added in for specific direction about dispersal orders. The second part of this is we have acquired some additional equipment to help with this. We are also exploring other options for additional equipment to handle, making sure that the crowd from the front to the back of the crowd can hear the dispersal orders. And all officers have been outfitted with new pocket cards that have some updated verbiage on it in case an unlawful assembly is to be declared. And that includes instructions for how to leave the area, what they should do, and given more specific instructions about the deployment of gas. Consider whether CS gas will affect people who are involved. This recommendation is still under review with the committee and will be addressed in the new policy on civil disturbances. I will tell you that most of my recommendations are going to be updated in policy, so a lot of them are still under review as the policy is not final. This will also be added to the use of force policy, and those are recommendations 14 and 54. Number 16, the PERF recommendation was to train officers not to engage demonstrators individually. Lieutenant Atherai has worked on an updated annual training for the department, which he intends to do once it's approved by the Commonwealth Attorney. And the presentation will be given to all officers, which will include information to address this recommendation. Number 18, PERF review, be prepared for any situation that will require mass arrest. I will tell you we've made great strides in the region to work with our regional partners to include many agencies, and we've had some trainings, meetings, and this has really helped create good collaboration and conversation about what we're going to do if we were to be faced with these issues again. So we're making headway with that, and that continues. PERF recommendation number 55, add policy to distinguish crowd management, intervention, and control. This is also being discussed for the new directive on civil disturbances. It's also related to recommendations 14 and 54 that I mentioned. And the committee is discussing, I will tell you, a tiered response to include 3 levels: crowd management, crowd intervention, and crowd control. They're still in the infancy stages, though, of getting them finalized for the directive. PERF recommendation number 56, add policy to distinguish serious crimes from minor civil disobedience. The committee is discussing this, and the recommendation is to add specific language about the crimes and disobedience to the policy that is being revised. PERF recommendation number 57, when possible, identify and work with demonstration organizers. This is also being reviewed by the committee, and the new directive will include language to satisfy this recommendation. Recommendation number 58, add policy on the importance of news media relations during demonstration. This will also be added to a new directive. The PIO will be an integral part of getting information out to the public prior to and during any civil disturbance. And the PIO will use various news and social media platforms to communicate plans directly to the public. PERF recommendation number 59, expand on tactical field force policy to reflect use of force concepts such as de-escalation. The Police Department Tactical Field Force Guide is being revised. It's also part of these directive revisions that my committee is working on. It will include specific language in there about a tiered response to include uniform to be worn tactics at each level of that response. We will also be doing some de-escalation training. We recently were assigned that, so that's already in the works to get some de-escalation training for all officers. PERF recommendation number 61, change terminology on military bearing with the new title, professional and structured response. These recommendations have been accepted and will be added to the new directive that is coming out. Develop strong guidelines on limitations of CS gas in the Tactical Field Force Manual. This is PERF recommendation number 62. Specific language and guidance will be added to the Tactical Field Force Manual and the Use of Force Directive. Obviously, once it's fully vetted and signed off by the Chief of Police. That is the recommendation of the committee, though. And number 63 and 65 PERF recommendations require incident commander approval of any use of CS gas. The committee is still reviewing this recommendation and intends to propose verbiage to be added to the new directive. That's all I have for my recommendations. I'll be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Councilor Graham.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Captain Mason, really appreciate that report. You talked about the regional partnerships and how forthcoming they've been, which is great to hear. Do we know if the regional partners are going to have similar trainings like the de-escalation training that you mentioned, or other avenues, so that when these types of events occur, everyone really is speaking the same language?
So I can't speak on the de-escalation training specifically. I don't know that specifically. I can tell you that our tactical field force has been training with our regional partners, and the philosophy of their approach is definitely changed. So in a form of de-escalation, actually, is what I got from Lieutenant Athenry. So that's something that they are working on, and it's not just our agency, it's the region.
That's wonderful to hear. Thank you so much.
Council, I want you to know that we've come a heck of a long way since May of 2020. In fact, with some recent activity in the area, we've seen some demonstrations occur recently, and we're exercising what we've learned and doing a great job, I'll add. We have some incredible staff here at the Fredericksburg Police Department and in our mutual aid partners. And all is well. I would intend on keeping it that way.
Councilor Duffy.
Thank you, Mayor. I just want to compliment the chief and everyone here on this video, this camera shot. What an impressive job you guys are doing. The scope of the PERF recommendations is so broad and so deep. And the fact that you are going through these things with such great care with our friends and neighbors who are citizens on your committees, it's just a spectacular effort. And I'm grateful for the work you're doing, and I know our residents are. And so I can't say enough about it. I'm just grateful. Thank you so much.
You, sir.
Here, here, Councilor Duffy, you said it perfectly. It's a very impressive body of work that you're doing. And I have some appreciation, I'm sure we don't understand it fully, but some appreciation of the amount of work that it is and the number of considerations that have to be made for each one of these recommendations. So thank you for that.